The image on this month's chronogram is of a woman, and I was on the Lower East Side of Manhattan having lunch with a friend. I saw this incredible woman walk in, and she was dressed to the nines, and she looked fantastic. And I was walking out the door, and I just asked her, "Do you mind if I take a photograph of you?" So she flashed me a peace sign. I took a few images and walked out. I started my career about 30 years ago working for my local newspaper, the Peekskill Evening Star. I've been traveling the world ever since then. So I've been on various magazine assignments over the course of many years, and I've always wanted to do a show of my travel photographs. And one of the styles that I love in galleries is the salon hanging, which I feel allows you to really envelop into the space and really see the photographs, and not just walk in a line where it's very kind of sterile, but you walk in and you get kind of inundated by all the images. One of the techniques I used on this is kind of a reverse situation where most of the times you make a print and you go to a framer and you pick out a frame for it. In this situation, I've been collecting vintage frames for the last year, and if I found a frame that I really love, I have a computer monitor, so I take the frame and I just go through and cycle through some of my favorite images, and when I found that one that just was perfect, I'd say, aha, and I'd print it specifically for that frame. One of my favorite images is of zebras walking across the Ngorongoro crater in Tanzania, and for them, it reminded me of the Beatles' Abbey Road cover, because as they walked across, they literally looked like George, Paul, Ringo, and John going across the landscape. When on assignment for travel magazines, you are assigned a shot list, but they also want you to get something spontaneous. So one motto I have when I do a travel assignment is there's no wrong turns, because I'll be on my way to an assignment and supposed to go to a restaurant and I get lost, and then the most amazing thing will happen before your eyes. So there really aren't any wrong turns when you're on a travel assignment. One time I was on a camping safari where we had to hike 20 miles and the equipment was being carried by donkeys, and we went to a place called the Empekai crater, and we saw some Maasai indigenous people there, and they just pretty much freaked out when they saw us because we had to hike 20 miles. It's not like there's a lot of foot traffic or a lot of safari or car traffic, so it was really interesting to go to some place where they were actually visually stunned to see you. About 10 years ago, I was lucky enough to travel to Iran, which is actually a really amazing country. And on my way out after photographing for 10 days, I had about 300 rolls of film. And as I was leaving, the customs people there said, "Oh, well, we'll take your film, we'll process it for you, and we'll send it back to you." And I turned to my guide, and they looked at me and said, "Oh, we didn't tell you this would happen?" And I said, "No, nobody told me that would happen. I don't think I want that." And the person said, "Just grab your stuff and smile and walk away." And I'm like, "You sure?" They're like, "Do it." I'm like, "Okay." So I just zipped up my bag of film, I smiled, and I just walked right to my plane, and they didn't stop me.